Breaking Free from Digital Bonds, Rediscovering Spiritual Wholeness. Written and narrated by Stacy Natzel. Introduction. In a world increasingly shaped by technology, the digital ties we form often break the bonds that matter most, our connections with family, others, and God. Social media, once intended to bring us closer, now distracts us from what truly matters, fueling division and superficial engagement. Our spiritual foundation weakens as we become consumed by the constant noise of digital life. But this isn't just about technology. It's about how it exploits our deeper desires for love and acceptance, keeping us tethered to superficial measures of success. We chase likes and followers, losing sight of our greater purpose. In breaking free from digital bonds, we embark on a journey to transform our relationship with technology. This book isn't about rejecting digital tools, but about reclaiming what's sacred, our connection to God, family, and community. Chapter 1. Power and Division. Power has always been a double-edged sword throughout human history. When used with love and humility, it unites people and inspires progress. But when driven by greed or the desire for control, it tears apart society, creating divisions that are hard to heal. In today's world of social media and instant communication, power takes on new forms. It's no longer just in the hands of governments or corporations. It also lies in how platforms, information, and stories shape our emotions, thoughts, and actions. What once seemed like tools for connection, like social media, have become battlegrounds for influence. Platforms like Facebook and Instagram often amplify opinions in ways that foster division. Instead of bringing us together, these digital spaces trap us in cycles of conflict and comparison, pulling us further from the peace and unity God intended. The power of these platforms lies not only in the content they show, but in the emotions they provoke. They are designed to trigger reactions, feeding off fear, anger, and outrage to keep us engaged. Over time, this engagement divides us, not only from one another, but also from our true selves. We lose sight of the spiritual truths that should guide our lives and get caught up in seeking validation through likes, comments, and shares. This division goes beyond the social or political. It's deeply spiritual. When we allow ourselves to be divided by ideas, opinions, or the need for approval, we disconnect from the unity that comes from God. We forget we are part of something much greater than ourselves. In this forgetfulness, we become easier to manipulate. One way this happens is through subtle manipulation. As the ancient strategist Sun Tzu said, division can be achieved without direct conflict. By spreading fear and doubt, those in power distract us, pulling us away from our spiritual growth. We also see this manipulation in how information is controlled. Recent events have shown how narratives are carefully curated and censored. Platforms that once promised free expression now control the conversations we can have. Voices that challenge the mainstream are silenced, and the messages we see are designed to keep us focused on worldly issues, health, politics, money, instead of deeper spiritual truths. This control is part of a larger system rooted in consumerism and materialism, known as globalization, where goods are mass-produced and sold through multinational corporations. Social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram are filled with ads that subtly influence us. Even platforms like YouTube, which can provide useful information, are designed to prioritize profit through monetization. Creators are pressured to continuously produce content to remain relevant, delivering more ads to consumers in the process. The more we focus on these distractions, the less time we have to reflect on our spiritual values. Some creators, however, resist this system by refusing to monetize their content or by supporting local businesses instead. This frees them from the pressures of consumerism and allows them to express their spiritual purpose more authentically. Yet even they face challenges like censorship, especially when they speak out against the mainstream. Many have had their accounts suspended, limiting their ability to share truth and control the conversation. In response, more people are moving away from heavily regulated platforms like YouTube and turning to alternatives like Rumble, where they can express themselves more freely. To understand the spiritual impact of all these changes, we need to think about how globalization and the pursuit of profit have shaped our world. Globalization, driven by trade and technology, has brought economic growth, but it has also fueled materialism, greed, and the loss of spiritual values. Big corporations like Amazon dominate markets, often at the expense of small businesses and local communities. Monetization, like the ads you see in YouTube videos, promotes consumerism and keeps people focused on material goods, deepening their attachment to things that don't truly satisfy. Those who control globalization hold centralized power. This leaves small businesses and local farmers on the margins, disconnecting people from their communities and from nature. It's a system that values profit over well-being and strengthens unchecked capitalism. In contrast, decentralization, shifting power away from big corporations and toward local communities, allows smaller businesses and farmers to thrive. It encourages deeper relationships with each other, with the land, and with God, reducing our need for excessive consumption. Even though these forces seem powerful, we are not powerless. The solution to division lies within us. It starts with choosing to step away from distractions, resisting these platforms, and returning to the quiet places where we can find real connection. True power doesn't come from controlling others, winning arguments online, or being the best consumers. It comes from our connection to God, to one another, and to our communities. While platforms like Facebook offer online communities and spaces for meaningful conversations, they can't replace our deep need for real face-to-face connection, where we share space, presence, and energy with others. True strength is found in our families, friends, community, and faith, and in the quiet, unwavering belief that we are part of something greater. This love isn't loud or attention-seeking. It's humble, patient, and kind. It flows from our hearts and unites us in ways that cannot be broken by division. As we think about the forces shaping our world, we must ask ourselves, what kind of lives do we choose to live, and what power do we embrace? The power that divides and controls, or the power that comes from within, rooted in spiritual truths? The answer isn't in the platforms or narratives we follow, but in the choices we make each day. We can shift our focus from platforms that fuel the global economy and instead support our local communities, creating balance in our lives. The choice to love rather than fear, to live simply, to unite rather than divide, and to seek truth over distraction is within our reach. Chapter 2: Choosing Unity. After discussing how power can create division, we must now consider how we can choose a different path. We have the power to choose unity instead. Unity doesn't mean agreeing on everything, nor does it mean ignoring the challenges of the world. It means making the conscious decision to prioritize connection, understanding, and love over the forces that seek to tear us apart. In The Hunger Games, Katniss Everdeen faces immense pressure to choose a side in the conflict between the districts and the capital. Both factions want to use her as a symbol for their cause, each demanding her loyalty and participation in their battle for power. Yet, as the series progresses, Katniss begins to see through the manipulation of those in power. She realizes that choosing one side over the other would only continue the cycle of violence and oppression. In a pivotal moment, instead of following the path laid out for her, Katniss takes a bold stand for true freedom. She aims her arrow not at the enemy the rebellion wanted her to fight, but at President Coin, the leader of the revolution. By doing so, she refuses to play into the power struggle and exposes the truth that both sides were using her for their own agendas. Her choice to break free from the cycle of manipulation is a powerful reminder that real unity and freedom cannot be achieved by merely replacing one power structure with another. Instead, it requires dismantling the systems of control and division altogether. This act of rebellion speaks deeply to the idea of choosing unity. Katniss's decision to reject the narrative that she must align with one side over the other shows us that unity is not about conformity or choosing a faction. It is about recognizing when the forces at play are designed to keep us divided and controlled, and then courageously choosing a path that transcends these divisions. Sometimes, the best way to cultivate unity is to avoid certain topics, depending on where someone is in their journey. Unity doesn't mean forcing conversations about divisive issues or trying to win people over to your point of view. Instead, it means approaching each interaction with a sense of curiosity. Ask more questions to figure out why people believe what they do. By being more open-minded and genuinely listening, we not only become great observers, but also build trust. In those moments of trust, we may eventually have the opportunity to explain our own views once the other person feels heard and understood. In much the same way, we are constantly pressured to choose sides in today's society. Whether it's political, social, or cultural issues, the world demands that we align ourselves with one group or another. Social media, in particular, amplifies these divides, reinforcing our beliefs and fostering division. But as I've learned through my own journey, real unity doesn't come from choosing sides. It comes from stepping outside the cycle of division and focusing on the things that truly matter, our shared humanity, our relationships, and our values. Just as Katniss chose to reject the manipulation of those in power, we can choose to break free from the cycles of division that the world imposes on us. This doesn't mean ignoring the challenges around us, but rather addressing them from a place of unity and love. It means recognizing that our true strength lies not in our ability to win arguments or take sides, but in our capacity to connect with one another, to listen, and to understand. In the final scenes of The Hunger Games, after Katniss makes her defining choice, the characters return to a simpler, more peaceful way of life. The violence, the manipulation, and the games are over, and what remains is a quiet return to community and family. As we move forward, we must ask ourselves, will we continue to play into the hands of those who benefit from division, or will we choose a different path? By choosing unity, we can break the cycle of conflict and create a world where love, compassion, and understanding guide our actions. This choice may not always be easy, but it is the path toward true freedom and lasting peace. Chapter 3: Leaf on the Water. One night I had a dream. I was standing at the edge of a still pond, watching a single leaf float on the surface. The leaf and the water were connected. The water held the leaf, supported it, and allowed it to move freely. But as I watched, the leaf began to spin. Slowly at first, but then faster and faster, as if it were being pulled by an unseen force. It spiraled out of control, carried by the water, but with no direction of its own. When I woke up, I realized the dream was an analogy, a reflection of how our lives have become so dependent on technology, spinning out of control, held captive by the very systems that once seemed to support us. We are the leaf, and technology is the water beneath us. At first glance, technology appears to offer support, a means to connect us and make life easier. Many believe it is making us smarter, more capable, and more informed. But as I reflect deeper, I see the cracks in this belief. Studies now show that our constant reliance on smartphones and the internet has not made us smarter. It has made us more dependent. The term digital amnesia has emerged to describe how we now forget information that we can easily look up. Our minds have become passive, waiting for a device to provide the answers, rather than actively engaging in problem solving or remembering. The constant flow of information has also left us impatient. We are used to instant gratification, accessing answers at the tap of a screen, and this has eroded our capacity for deep thought. Our attention spans are shrinking. A study from Nature Communications revealed that the rise of technology has fragmented our thinking, making it harder to concentrate or stay present in a task. We jump from one piece of content to another, skimming the surface but never diving deeply. Like the spinning leaf, we are moving, but we are no longer in control of our direction. This loss of control extends into the creative realms as well. The rise of AI has revolutionized art, music, and writing. Programs like DALL-E and GPT-3 can now produce stunning works that once required human imagination. At first, this seems exciting, new possibilities, new tools to create with. But at what cost? As AI learns from us, it mimics the creative processes we once believed to be uniquely human. It accelerates, grows smarter, and produces work faster than we ever could. And as it learns, we must ask, what will remain uniquely human in the process of creation? We see the same trend in the development of AI-driven technologies like brain-computer interfaces. Companies like Neuralink are exploring ways to merge our minds with machines, promising to enhance our abilities, perhaps even make us immortal. But as I contemplate this, I wonder, what happens to our humanity when we invite technology into our bodies? What happens to our divine connection, our unique bond with nature and the spiritual realm? If we allow microchips and AI to become part of us, do we not risk degrading the very essence of what makes us human, our divinity, our soul? And then there is virtual reality, a world where we can escape from the limitations of the physical realm. The allure of the metaverse is strong, offering us the ability to create fantasy lives, to craft new identities, and to live in digital spaces where anything is possible. But as studies from Stanford University have shown, the more time we spend in these virtual worlds, the more we disconnect from the real one. Virtual reality pulls us further from nature, further from human connection, and further from the present moment. It is a new kind of illusion, one that offers freedom but takes away our grounding. The dream of the spinning leaf reminds me of this cycle. As technology accelerates, we spin faster, disconnected from our roots. We lose our sense of direction, our ability to be still, our connection to the natural world and to each other. The leaf can only regain balance if it slows down, if it returns to a state of harmony with the water. In the same way, we must find a way to slow down, to regain control of our relationship with technology before it consumes us entirely. If humanity does not consciously choose to disconnect from this ever-accelerating technological tide, we may soon find ourselves at a point where the line between human and machine becomes irrevocably blurred. The natural rhythms of life may fade into the background, replaced by the artificial pulse of digital worlds and mechanical minds. Our only hope for halting this future might lie in the most unexpected of places, nature itself. Perhaps it will take a natural disaster, something beyond our control, to reset the balance and strip us of our dependence on technology, a force powerful enough to disrupt the infrastructure we've built, forcing us to reconnect with the earth, with each other, and with the divine. It may be in the absence of technology that we rediscover what it means to be human. Without it, we may be reminded of the simplicity, beauty, and wisdom that come from living in harmony with the world around us. This, though unsettling, may be the final intervention, a last gift from the natural world to prevent the darker future where technology dominates and humanity loses its soul. Ultimately, the choice is ours. It is up to us to decide our future, and it is within our power to turn away from technology before it consumes our humanity. If we choose, we can step back from this accelerating cycle and return to the deeper, more meaningful connections that await us, those with nature, with each other, and with the divine. The question is, will we make that choice before it's too late? Chapter 4: Biotechnology. As we walk through a world transformed by technology, we are confronted with profound questions about the role of human innovation and its intersection with the sacredness of life. The rapid advances in biotechnology, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, have brought these questions to the forefront, raising concerns about the delicate balance between nature, human intervention, and divine creation. The pandemic was a moment that made us pause. It was a time of uncertainty when we all faced deep fears, not only for our health, but for the future of our world. In that time, biotechnology emerged as a beacon of hope, promising solutions to challenges we had never imagined. Vaccines, particularly those utilizing mRNA technology, were introduced with the potential to bring healing and protection. And yet, for many, these advancements came with a quiet unease, a sense that something vital was being altered. Personally, when I walked into the clinic to receive the new mRNA vaccine, I was struck by a feeling that something wasn't right. There was no clear explanation for the unease that settled in me, but it felt as though my connection with God, or my intuition, was urging me to reconsider. The fear of the unknown was compounded by my deepest concern, that if anything were to happen to me, my daughter would be left without her mother. It was a decision not taken lightly, but one guided by my faith. In that moment, I chose to trust that inner voice and walked away, knowing that for me, the right path was to refrain. mRNA vaccines, unlike traditional ones, work in a new way. Instead of introducing a weakened or inactivated virus, they deliver synthetic instructions to our cells, telling them to produce a protein that will trigger an immune response. This is a marvel of human ingenuity, biotechnology's attempt to mimic the body's natural defenses. Yet, as we embrace these innovations, we must ask, what happens when we begin to alter the fundamental processes of life? What are the spiritual implications of modifying the intricate systems designed by the Creator? The human body is a sacred masterpiece. Every cell, every function, every process within us is a reflection of divine intelligence, a delicate balance that sustains life. The immune system, which defends us against illness, operates with such precision that it has the capacity to learn, adapt, and remember. It is a system that protects us without conscious thought, a silent miracle at work within us each day. In the face of this complexity, we must ask, do we truly understand the long-term consequences of altering such a system with biotechnology? Biotechnology, like the water beneath the leaf in the dream, is a powerful force. It can support us, guide us, and offer solutions to problems we cannot yet fully grasp. But just as the leaf began to spin out of control, there is a risk that our reliance on these innovations may lead us down a path where we lose sight of the natural rhythms of life. The balance that once existed between humanity and nature is shifting, and with that shift comes both opportunity and danger. We stand at a crossroads between the marvel of human invention and the sacredness of the natural order. Just as we have seen with artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and other technologies, there is a point at which innovation can begin to blur the lines between what is natural and what is artificial. Biotechnology, particularly when it involves integrating synthetic components into the body, challenges the very essence of what it means to be human. In reflecting on these questions, it is important to acknowledge the complexity of the world we live in. There are moments when medical advances save lives and bring hope. Yet, as we move forward, we must remain vigilant in asking, how much are we willing to alter the divine design of the body? Where do we draw the line between using technology to heal and crossing into territory where we risk losing our connection to the natural and the sacred? The decision to embrace biotechnology, like any other form of innovation, must be made with both discernment and humility. We must remember that while we have been given the ability to innovate, we are not the creators of life. God, in His wisdom, has designed a world that is both beautiful and complex, and our role within it is to honor that design, not to seek mastery over it. The pandemic highlighted this tension. Some were called to place their trust in these new technologies, while others felt guided by their intuition to step back, to question, and to seek a deeper understanding. The choice to vaccinate or not became a deeply personal one, intertwined with our fears, our hopes, and our faith. And now, as we move beyond that moment in history, we are left with the task of integrating the lessons we have learned, both the power of human ingenuity and the importance of honoring the natural world. At its core, the question of biotechnology is a question of balance. How do we navigate a world where human innovation is moving at a pace that far exceeds our spiritual growth? How do we use the tools of science without losing sight of the divine wisdom embedded in our own bodies? The answer, perhaps, lies in slowing down, much like the leaf on the water. If we allow ourselves to pause, to reflect, and to reconnect with the rhythms of life, we can find a way to move forward with grace. By honoring the body as a sacred creation, we can approach biotechnology with caution, mindful of its long-term consequences. Trusting in the body's innate wisdom to heal, adapt, and grow allows us to resist the urge to control or modify every aspect of it. Most importantly, we must remember that our connection to God, nature, and each other is far more powerful than any synthetic creation. Chapter 5: Transforming Technology. As we embrace new tools, especially in the realms of biotechnology and artificial intelligence, we must ask ourselves, how can these technologies serve the greater good? How can they align with the natural rhythms and sacred patterns that have always guided life rather than disrupt them? Terrence Howard's vision provides an intriguing response to these questions. Through his concept of teriology, he explores the possibility that new technology can reflect the harmony of the universe, mirroring the divine structures found in nature. Central to this vision is the flower of life, an ancient geometric pattern representing the interconnectedness of all things, a pattern that has appeared in cultures across the globe. Howard's model suggests that by designing technology in accordance with these sacred geometries, we can bring our innovations back in line with the flow of creation. But this vision is not new. Throughout history, others have shared similar dreams of aligning human progress with nature's patterns. One such example is Nikola Tesla, an inventor who saw electricity and energy as parts of a larger, universal force that connected all life. Tesla's experiments with free energy were driven by a desire to harness the natural forces of the earth without exploiting or depleting its resources. Like Howard, Tesla believed that true innovation did not come from controlling nature, but from working in harmony with its intrinsic patterns. Similarly, the great Renaissance artist and scientist Leonardo da Vinci drew inspiration from the natural world, believing that the principles governing the movement of water, the flight of birds, and the growth of plants were expressions of a divine order. His inventions, ranging from early designs for flying machines to complex irrigation systems, were attempts to mirror nature's intelligence. Da Vinci understood that the closer we look at the natural world, the more we find patterns of balance, efficiency, and interconnectedness. These visionaries, like Terrence Howard today, sought to innovate without disrupting the sacred balance of life. They understood that humanity's progress must be aligned with the greater order of the universe, an order that transcends human understanding, but is observable in the very fabric of creation. The flower of life, as Howard sees it, represents this universal pattern, offering a template for how we can innovate in ways that respect the intricate relationships between all living things. Throughout history, other cultures have also recognized the importance of aligning with these natural rhythms. Indigenous peoples across the globe, for example, have long held a deep reverence for the earth and its cycles, seeing themselves not as separate from nature, but as a part of it. In many Native American traditions, the idea of living in harmony with the land is not just a spiritual belief, but a practical way of ensuring sustainability for future generations. Their understanding of technology was one of stewardship, using tools in ways that enhanced life without harming the delicate balance of ecosystems. As we look to the future, these ancient and modern visions remind us that technology is not inherently harmful. It is how we use it that determines its impact. Terrence Howard's linchpin model, inspired by the flower of life, suggests that we can design systems that align with nature's geometry, technologies that reflect the same principles of balance, interconnection, and flow found in the natural world. This is not just a technical solution, but a philosophical shift, a way of seeing technology as an extension of life rather than as something that controls or replaces it. But to achieve this, we must first slow down. In our rush toward progress, we risk losing sight of the wisdom that has guided humanity for millennia, the wisdom of nature itself. Visionaries like Tesla, Da Vinci, and countless others have shown us that the answers to our greatest technological challenges lie not in pushing against the natural order, but in learning from it. By observing the patterns that govern life, we can find solutions that are sustainable, ethical, and aligned with the greater good. The technologies we create, whether they are vaccines, energy systems, or communication tools, must ultimately serve life. They must enhance our connection to one another and to the world around us. This is the deeper message of the flower of life, that everything is connected, and that when we innovate in ways that honor this connection, we create a world that reflects the divine patterns of harmony and balance. The challenge we face today is the same as those who came before us. How do we build a world that reflects the sacred patterns of life, rather than distorting them? How do we ensure that our technology serves humanity, rather than humanity serving technology? The answers to these questions lie not just in our innovations, but in our willingness to listen to the wisdom of nature, to the teachings of our ancestors, and to the deeper truths that have always guided life. Chapter 6. Redefining Success. After a life-changing spiritual awakening in 2017, I realized that life's true purpose runs far deeper than the superficial pursuits so many around me valued. Yet, as I returned to society, I felt immense pressure to wear a mask, especially in the age of social media. Throughout my journey, I saw how social media pulls people away from their spiritual essence, trapping them in cycles of comparison, ego-driven pursuits, and endless distractions. I, too, became entangled. Despite sharing content with good intentions, I felt increasingly disconnected from my deeper connection with God. In 2019, this realization intensified when I had a vision, a glimpse into a future dominated by technology and artificial intelligence. I saw people disconnected from each other and from God, their minds consumed by machines and devices. It wasn't just a revelation, it felt like a warning. Social media had become more than a tool for connection. It had the power to sever our spiritual ties. Like many, my journey has been marked by seasons of self-discovery, faith, doubt, and transformation. But one constant has remained: motherhood. Balancing my spiritual journey with raising children has taught me that my true purpose is intertwined with the reality of being a mother. As parents, we're often rushing work, school pickups, dinner, bedtime routines, only to lie awake wondering, was I good enough today? Could I have done better? This guilt, if we allow it, can guide us to self-correct, rather than letting it turn into regret. Being a good parent means asking the hard questions and making better choices. One day, while replying to a client's text, my daughter interrupted me. "Mommy, look at my drawing." I quickly responded, "Hold on, I'm on the phone." But then she said, "Mommy, please look at me." Her words pierced through me. I looked into her big blue eyes and felt a wave of guilt. I had justified my actions, thinking, this is what it takes to be successful. But deep down, I knew I was distracted from what truly mattered. I was under constant pressure to run my spa business in a way that conformed to society's definition of success, dictated by social media. I watched as other businesses posted daily, growing from small operations into franchises. I felt the pressure to keep up, fearing inadequacy if I didn't. Then, during the COVID-19 pandemic, I was forced to slow down when mandatory precautions shut down my studio. I had just expanded to a bigger location, signing a 3-year lease, and suddenly lost my team. I was left to pick up the pieces alone. When I eventually reopened, it was difficult to regain what had been lost. Yet, as I started to operate on a smaller scale, I began to appreciate the simplicity. I no longer felt the ambition to turn my business into a franchise. It was a humbling experience. Despite slowing down, I continued to use Instagram and YouTube for my writing, allowing my ambitions of becoming a spiritual mentor to take center stage. But the more content I created, the more disconnected I became from my family. I told myself that I was helping others and setting a positive example for my daughter, but deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. After giving a speech in Washington, D.C., I received positive feedback from the audience. Overcoming my fear of public speaking felt like a real achievement, and for a brief moment, I was proud. But on the flight home, a deep sadness settled in. I had missed precious time with my daughter. On that flight, I reflected on the movie Baby Boom, starring Diane Keaton. In the film, her character, JC, is a successful executive who unexpectedly inherits a baby. She tries to juggle her high-powered career with motherhood, but it quickly becomes overwhelming. She eventually leaves the corporate world, moves to the country, and starts a successful business. Her old boss and colleagues later offer her a multi-million-dollar deal to buy her company, tempting her with a luxurious return to corporate life. At first, JC considers it, but she ultimately declines, telling her boss, "I don't want to make those sacrifices. I've got a baby mobile above my desk, and I really love that." She chooses her new life, prioritizing her child and happiness over material success. That line struck me deeply. Like JC, I had been trying to have it all: success, fulfillment, and motherhood. But her words helped me realize that true success isn't measured by professional achievements. It's found in being present for the things that truly matter: family, love, and genuine connection. So I made the decision to close my mentoring business. To my surprise, instead of feeling disappointed, I felt a deep sense of relief. Motherhood has a way of grounding you, of reminding you what's truly important. It shifts your perspective, helping you see that some sacrifices are worth making, and some dreams are worth letting go of. My 7-year-old daughter and my 22-year-old son are my greatest success stories. They've been my most profound teachers, helping me reshape my values. I'm proud of the mother I've become and the one I continue to grow into. Chapter 7. Reflection. Reflecting on my journey, it's clear how much division cell phones have introduced into our lives. Family dinners, once uninterrupted and sacred, used to be times of deep connection. Conversations flowed naturally. Storytelling was a cherished tradition, often shared around the dinner table or a campfire. There was a quiet understanding of patience, of truly listening, of being fully present. The deep satisfaction that came from those moments has gradually faded under the constant pull of technology. We've become so used to this fast-paced way of living that we rarely stop to question it. What kind of reality are we living in now, and what is our true purpose? These questions surface from time to time, but before we can fully explore them, they're buried again under the rush of our daily routines and the distractions we've come to rely on. Our society pushes us to live on autopilot, without intention, and this contributes to the underlying sadness so many of us feel. In this world of convenience, we've come to take almost everything for granted. Our food is prepackaged, water flows easily from the tap, but what if it didn't? What if we had to grow our own food? Our attitudes toward life would shift dramatically. Patience would become essential, and we'd learn to take pride in the process, planting seeds, nurturing them, and harvesting what we've worked for. The satisfaction from that process would run far deeper than anything technology can provide. We often pity those in less privileged parts of the world who walk miles for clean water, but maybe the pity should be directed toward us. We've lost the ability to truly appreciate the most vital resources: water, food, and time. In a way, we've lost touch with reality, and perhaps the greatest illusion of all is the one we've created, that this disconnected way of living is normal. The only way to break free is to wake up, to make intentional changes, even if they start small. Every day, we can alter one piece of our routine, and over time, these small shifts will create something greater. But it all begins with changing our mindset. Patience is one of the hardest lessons to embrace. We live in a world that craves instant gratification, where technology has disrupted the natural rhythms of life. We've forgotten what it means to wait, to trust the process, to embrace the slow, steady unfolding of time. One day, while stuck in traffic on the freeway, I saw frustration on the faces of those around me. Instead of joining in the impatience, I took a breath and looked out the window. The sun was casting golden light on the wildflowers by the road, and I realized that time wasn't wasted. I had been present in that moment, appreciating the beauty in the midst of chaos. When I arrived home that day, I left my phone by the door and walked into the living room. My daughter was laughing with her father, bathed in the soft glow of the setting sun. In that moment, I realized there was nowhere else I needed to be. I was home, in every sense of the word. As I reflect, I realize life once moved to a natural rhythm, guided by the slow descent of the sun. That quiet, steady flow, once a marker of time, has been lost in our race to keep pace with technology. Even rivers, with their gentle currents, move with purpose. Yet we rush ahead, oblivious to their wisdom. Nature has always moved with patient grace. To rediscover peace, we must realign ourselves with the flow of the earth and remember what it feels like to live by nature's time, not technology's. As night falls, the silence brings a soothing whisper to my ears. I sit beside the glowing embers of the fire, the warmth fading, as I listen to the quiet and write these words. I know this moment will pass, but in its stillness, I find peace. It's in the calm embrace of nature that I feel truly safe. I know when I wake tomorrow, I will be greeted by another day, a day where I will strive to live by the words I've written, but I will remain steady on my path, watching the puddles rise as the rain falls upon my face. Chapter 8. Living in Illusion. We often walk through life believing in the reality we see before us, rarely questioning the systems that shape our perceptions. This illusion of normalcy is carefully constructed, much like the world in The Truman Show, where every detail is designed to keep Truman unaware of the truth. In today's world, our show is largely produced by social media, news feeds, and digital platforms that mold our beliefs, shape our desires, and keep us from recognizing the reality of our existence. Just as Truman's life was scripted, our interactions online often feel like rehearsed performances. We post curated moments, waiting for likes, comments, and approval. Facebook and Instagram, in particular, allow us to carefully draft the life we want others to see. A polished, filtered version that reflects only the highlights, while the deeper, more complex aspects of our reality remain hidden. Every post, every story becomes a scene in the ongoing production of our digital lives, while the true essence of who we are becomes increasingly distant. In The Truman Show, there's a pivotal moment when Truman begins to notice the cracks in his perfectly crafted world. Sitting in his driveway, he watches the same people pass by in a loop, repeated scenes designed to make him believe that life is proceeding normally. Truman exclaims in disbelief as he spots the same lady on a red bicycle, a man carrying flowers, and a Volkswagen Beetle with a dented fender. He suddenly realizes that his entire existence is staged, controlled by forces outside his awareness. Meryl, his wife, tries to reassure him by offering, "Why don't you let me fix you some of this new mococoa drink? All natural cocoa beans from the upper slopes of Mount Nicaragua, no artificial sweeteners." Truman, confused and frustrated, snaps, "What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?" This scene is a powerful metaphor for how our own lives are scripted by the digital systems that seek to control us. Just like Truman, many of us are unaware of the invisible hands guiding our choices, influencing our emotions, and keeping us trapped in cycles of comparison, competition, and digital validation. Social media platforms offer us a version of reality that feels comforting and familiar, but beneath the surface, it is a constructed illusion, designed to keep us engaged, consuming, and unaware of the truth. Facebook and Instagram, much like Truman's world, are not passive tools. They are meticulously designed systems, filled with targeted ads and carefully curated content that guide our behavior. In the same way that Truman's life was filled with hidden advertising, our social media feeds are filled with personalized ads, seamlessly woven into the content we consume. The producers of our digital experience, much like Christoph in The Truman Show, ensure that everything we see is designed to keep us engaged and dependent on the system. In a key scene from The Truman Show, an interviewer asks Christoph, the mastermind behind Truman's life, about the revenue generated by the show and the use of product placement. The interviewer says, "The show has generated enormous revenues, now equivalent to the gross national product of a small country." And Christoph says, "People forget it takes the population of an entire country to keep the show running." The interviewer continues, "Yes, since the show is on 24 hours a day without commercial interruption, all those staggering revenues are generated by product placement." Christoph says, "That's true. Everything on the show is for sale. The actors' wardrobes, food products, even the homes they live in." The interviewer then asks, "Why do you think Truman has never come close to discovering the true nature of his world until now?" And Christoph explains, "We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that." This revelation is not unlike what we experience on social media today. Everything in our feeds is, in some form, product placement. From influencers promoting brands to targeted ads disguised as content, everything we see is for sale. Our attention is the product being bought and sold, with every like, comment, and share feeding into the algorithm that keeps us engaged. Like Truman, we move through our digital lives, unaware that we are being subtly manipulated by the advertisements and content designed to keep us consuming. Much like Truman's awakening, my own realization of this came gradually. At first, I embraced social media, thinking it was a tool for connection and self-expression. But over time, I noticed how much my sense of self-worth became tied to the reactions I received online. My posts, photos, and even thoughts were shaped by what would gain approval, not by what was true or meaningful. The more I engaged, the more I felt trapped in a virtual loop, always seeking validation and never feeling fulfilled. I found myself caught in the same trap as millions of others, carefully curating moments to present a picture-perfect life. But this polished version of reality was superficial. Behind the filters and captions, the full picture of who I was remained hidden. Social media was a stage, and I was playing the part that I thought others wanted to see, not the one that reflected my true self. What's more, I began to realize that by sharing these special moments online, I was robbing them of their true beauty. Moments that were meant to be sacred, shared intimately with loved ones and witnessed by God, were instead offered up for the approval of an audience. In the process, they lost their shine, their magic faded, and their sacredness was diminished. These moments, meant to be cherished privately, were diluted by the need for public recognition. In the climax of The Truman Show, Truman finally decides to break free. He sets sail on a small boat, determined to find the edge of his world, to escape the illusion he's been trapped in for so long. The producers of the show try everything to stop him, whipping up violent storms and sending waves crashing against him, but Truman presses on. In a powerful moment, his boat crashes into the wall of the set, shattering the illusion once and for all. Truman's boat hitting the wall is symbolic of the moment we all face when we finally see through the illusion that has controlled our lives. Just as Truman discovered the limits of his false world, I too came to realize the boundaries of the digital reality I had been living in. The moment he reaches out and touches the wall is the moment of true awakening, the moment when the artificial reality is exposed and the possibility of freedom becomes real. When Truman steps off the boat and walks up the staircase toward the exit, Christoph's voice echoes down from the sky, one final attempt to keep him in place. Christoph says, "There's no more truth out there than in the world I created for you. The same lies, the same deceit, but in my world you have nothing to fear." Christoph's words mirror the messages we hear every day. Stay where it's safe. Stay in the world that has been carefully constructed for you. But like Truman, I realized that staying in that world meant sacrificing my freedom. Truman's final defiance comes when, looking up toward the heavens, he boldly declares, "You never had a camera in my head." This moment perfectly captures the heart of the matter. Even though his life had been broadcast to the world, there were parts of his soul that remained untouched and unseen. The most sacred parts of who he was, his deepest thoughts, feelings, and dreams, were beyond the reach of Christoph's cameras. Just as with Truman, no matter how much of our lives we share online, the true essence of who we are, the parts of us that are witnessed by God and hidden from the world, can never be captured by a screen. Like Truman, I found the courage to walk away from the digital illusion that had shaped my life for so long. I deleted my personal social media account, freeing myself from the constant need for validation, and in doing so, I reclaimed the sacredness of my life. We all have the power to step away from the illusion, to walk through the door that leads to true freedom. The question is whether we are willing to take that leap. Only then can we experience life as it was meant to be, unfiltered, unedited, and grounded in the love and truth that has always been waiting for us beyond the screen. Chapter 9. The Mission Statement. In every person's life, there comes a moment when they are asked to reflect on who they truly are, what they stand for, and where they are headed. This moment of reckoning often arises unexpectedly, interrupting our daily routines and forcing us to confront the deeper meaning of our existence. It is a call to realign with our true purpose, the mission that urges us to live authentically, even when it feels uncomfortable. This idea of rediscovering purpose was strikingly captured in the movie Jerry Maguire. At the height of his career, Jerry, a successful sports agent, realizes his life has become hollow. What once seemed fulfilling no longer aligns with the person he feels called to be. In an act of radical honesty, Jerry writes a mission statement, pouring his soul onto the page. It was a declaration of his beliefs and a roadmap for how he wanted to move forward, starting with the unforgettable line, "The things we think and do not say, the future of our business." Jerry's mission statement wasn't about following the status quo. It was about stripping away what was no longer authentic. He wrote, "Fewer clients, less money, more attention, caring for them, caring for ourselves." He sought a path that defied corporate norms, choosing integrity and connection over profits and prestige. I decided to look up the whole mission statement and found it was influenced by a memo sent by a past Disney chairman, suggesting the company return to its storytelling roots and step away from its focus on movie star spectacles. Here is a small portion of the mission statement from Jerry Maguire. "Right now, we're at the top of our game. Traditionally, people do one thing at this point in their success. They try like hell to maintain what they did to get there. Their personal and intense road to success, their original inspiration, is now lost in the pursuit of keeping the money machine smoothly rolling forward. But there is a problem with this maintained success cycle. They forget the original glimmer of passion that got them there. It is inevitable, at our current size, that we will lose many athletes anyway. People always respond best to personal attention. It is the simplest and easiest truth to forget. The cause is caring about each other. The secret to this job is personal relationships." I urge anyone to look up the full mission statement to feel the intensity and passion from the writer. This mission statement resonates with anyone who has ever had a true passion. That passion fades when we feel compelled to keep feeding the machine, which represents societal pressures and the algorithms of social media. Fortunately, I never reached the point of needing to constantly create content to keep my algorithms high on social media. There were months when I felt uninspired, so I didn't create anything. Then, all of a sudden, the words would pour out. This inconsistency didn't feed the machine to gain followers, but I wasn't willing to comply with algorithmic expectations. I never wanted to lose my passion, which was to create real change in the world as a writer. Some people, however, are so immersed in the social media game that they feel burdened by the constant pressure and fear of fading from the spotlight. Their entire identity is tied to the number of followers they have. Who would they be without their online identity? I understand what goes into creating content, hours of editing, sometimes waking up at 2 a.m. to write the finishing sentence to a topic that suddenly popped into my mind. In Jerry Maguire, he says, "I am out here for you. You don't know what it's like to be me out here for you. It is an up at dawn, pride-swallowing siege that I will never fully tell you about, while Rod screams back, 'Show me the money.' What have we lost by living this way, other than the true meaning of life? We have become buried under a small piece of tape, drowning in the mass production that drives our global economy. There are those who create the content and those who watch it, leading to a relentless cycle that is unsustainable. How long will we keep feeding the machine before we collapse? We were not designed to live like robots. To return to a simpler life and become more in tune with nature, we need to stop feeding into the systems that fuel our fast-paced economy. We also need to be honest with ourselves. Most of us claim we've unplugged, but have we really? Can we truly live in both worlds while changing our perception of reality? I'm writing this to inspire those who are dependent on the system to break free. Let go. Slow down. See what happens when we stop feeding the machines. Let the pieces fall where they may. Let the algorithms collapse and gather with others who have let go and witness how their lives have changed. In the process, some may have to make sacrifices and live within their means. If we truly want change and a better world, we should be willing to make those sacrifices. This may mean shifting our priorities and changing the direction of our careers. Maybe it means we're done with the bombardment of the age of information, constantly reinventing the same ideas on an endless loop. Maybe it means we're ready to build the face-to-face communities we talk about by getting off social media and living simpler lives. Creating a mission statement, whether in business or life, is about stripping away the noise and focusing on what truly matters. It's not just a tool for success, but a guide for how we want to live. When Jerry wrote his mission statement, he wasn't just talking about his business. He was talking about his life. He chose to prioritize people over profits, care over convenience, and integrity over expediency. This journey isn't easy. Like Jerry, I faced moments of doubt and uncertainty. But every time I return to my mission, I'm reminded that living with integrity, even at the cost of short-term gains, is far more rewarding in the long run. How can we return to these strong values, and what lessons have great leaders from our past left behind for us? Chapter 10, Back to the Round Table. In the movie First Knight, King Arthur dedicated his reign to promoting justice and peace, embodying the qualities of a great leader. He didn't sit on a throne, but at a round table with his knights, where the circle symbolized equality and unity. The Round Table's rules were built on loyalty, respect, honesty, and dignity. Arthur believed that leadership wasn't about ruling over others, but about being open-hearted and communicative. His own son, Malagant, rejected these principles, viewing them as weak, and sought to rule through dictatorship. Arthur, however, fought alongside his knights to protect the land and its people from Malagant's desire for control. In a time when status was determined by wealth and land, Arthur honored Lancelot, who owned nothing, by offering him a seat at the Round Table because of his bravery. This act showed that true leadership values character over material wealth. Today, society still teaches us to rank ourselves by status, especially through social media. When I was creating YouTube content for my writing, I became preoccupied with who was watching and how many views my videos received. Initially, I felt honored by the positive responses, but soon the comments began to make me uncomfortable. I realized that for others to recognize their worth, they needed to see themselves as my equal. Sure, I had a gift for writing positive messages, but that didn't make me better than anyone else. I was simply passionate about sharing. I learned that when we change how we view ourselves and each other, true unity becomes possible. When we understand that no one is above anyone else, we can all sit at the round table together. Those who truly know God strive to reflect His presence. A true leader doesn't seek praise, but desires equality. It doesn't even matter if I wrote this book. I don't need to be the one who said it best. What matters is the greater purpose we all serve. No one has everything figured out. Each of us holds a piece of the truth in our hearts. We've forgotten the rules of the round table, that it takes all of us working together to create real change. Perhaps our pursuit of fame and success has blinded us. We need to step out of the race, stop seeking followers, and guide others toward something greater. My darkest hour came when my son told me he wanted to be like me. I had a vision of him creating YouTube content for the masses, his monetization paving the way toward our enslavement. I'm willing to be the one to fade into the cracks of this paper, because my desire for change burns much deeper than my need to be recognized. I gave it all up so I could lead my son in a better direction, because I know that leading by example is the only way. As I sit here writing this page, I imagine the writer of Camelot sitting in a dark room, bringing his vision to life. The words seemed to flow from the flame of his candle, and he knew it was that flame guiding his passion. No one was there to give him any glory. I don't believe great philosophers were ever meant to be organized. As I glance down at my messy desk, I realize that deep thinking thrives on spontaneity and imagination. Some of us are meant to have profound ideas, while others are meant to bring those ideas structure and direction. Great philosophers, like Socrates, didn't leave behind volumes of work. He shared only fragments for others to build upon. The best ideas are passed down through generations, growing stronger with time. But achieving unity requires collective effort, sitting together at the round table, exchanging ideas, and working toward a shared vision. As we reflect on the stories of King Arthur and his knights, we see that the solution to our modern challenges is simple. It's not about new systems or technology, but about returning to the fundamental practice of sitting together, communicating openly, and sharing ideas. Today, algorithms on our phones are designed to cater to our personal beliefs, reinforcing what we already think. While it may feel comforting to see our ideas validated, this confinement limits our growth. By staying within the bubble of our beliefs, we miss out on the opportunity to expand our understanding. True growth happens when we step outside these digital confines. When we gather in person, whether with family, friends, or neighbors, and share our ideas face to face, we may find our views challenged. But this isn't something to fear. It's an opportunity for growth. By hearing different perspectives, we gain insights that broaden our understanding of the world and one another. This communication doesn't need to be a debate. It's not about proving who is right or wrong. The round table symbolizes equality and unity, where every voice is heard. These face-to-face conversations allow us to grow in ways that algorithms and online platforms cannot. The answer has always been simple. We need to come back to the table, to listen, to share, and to grow together. Chapter 11, Fellowship to Freedom. As we discussed in earlier chapters, social media has not only caused division and weakened our spiritual foundation, but it has also created a rift within the spiritual community. What was once a shared journey of wisdom and connection has become a race for validation. Influencers and content creators are ranked by followers, likes, and engagement, with popularity often overshadowing genuine spiritual growth. This system has fractured the spiritual community, pulling us further from our true purpose. This struggle mirrors Frodo's journey in The Lord of the Rings. His mission to destroy the One Ring wasn't just an external challenge, but an internal battle, a test of will and spirit. The ring, much like today's technology, feeds on insecurities and turns connection into control. Frodo represents the humble, the meek, and the kind-hearted, someone chosen to bear the weight of the Ring of Power. Unlike others, he didn't desire its allure and saw it for what it truly was, a burden. Carrying the ring to Mount Doom felt like carrying the weight of the world, each step growing heavier under its temptation. Others saw the ring's power and were crippled by their desires, unable to resist its pull. Boromir, in his arrogance, believed the ring could be used for good. "It is a gift. Why not use it?" he exclaimed. "Give Gondor the weapon of the enemy." But Aragorn wisely responded, "You cannot wield it. None of us can. The One Ring answers to Sauron alone. It has no other master." The ring represents corruption and the ultimate test of free will, the One Ring to rule them all, forged by one who sought dominion over everything. It's the eye of Sauron, and those who know its power dare not look into it. But in today's world, the one eye is not Sauron, but the glowing screen we hold in our hands, our phones. It watches us, collects our data, tracks our habits, and offers us endless distractions. The ring is a metaphor for control, much like the platforms we are connected to. They promise us connection to the world, but in reality, they often control us. Our thirst for knowledge, success, and recognition has easily become our downfall. I experienced this firsthand when I used social media to share my writings and videos. My goal was to spread love and truth, and for years, I worked tirelessly. But I became so focused on delivering positive messages that I failed to see the deeper issues beneath the surface. As my confidence grew, I mistakenly equated it with spiritual growth, believing I was climbing the ladder of enlightenment. At one point, I was invited to make a documentary for New Earth. It felt like a major recognition of my work, a sign of success. But as the opportunity loomed, a heavy sense of discernment settled over me. A calm voice asked, "Do you really want to go down this path?" A scene from The Hobbit came to mind. Thorin, blinded by his desire for the Arkenstone, sacrificed friendship and honor in his pursuit. As Sauron's armies attacked, Dwalin looked at Thorin and said, "You sit here in these vast halls with a crown upon your head, and yet you are lesser now than you have ever been." I was deeply moved by that scene. I realized that the path I was on, chasing recognition, was pulling me away from what mattered most. I felt God's presence guiding me, and I rejected the offer to make the documentary and never looked back. After deleting my YouTube account, the last social media account I had, I felt an immense sense of relief. Deep down, I realized that the small acts of kindness I performed in daily life held more meaning than anything I had created online. God's peace filled my heart, and in surrendering to His will, my soul was renewed. It was as if I had thrown the ring of Sauron into the fires of Mount Doom, finally seeing how blind I had been. I used to admire those with thousands of followers, thinking they were more enlightened because of their success, but the constant need to climb that spiritual ladder left me feeling trapped in a cycle of comparison. Once I allowed myself to be vulnerable, I saw it for what it was, an illusion. The spiritual community had become divided, like the armies of Middle-earth preparing for a final battle between ego and soul. Social media mirrors this hierarchy, with celebrities following only other celebrities, ignoring those with less influence. Some genuinely cared and shared valuable information, while others bought followers to appear successful. I never bought followers, but I began to wonder, who truly cared about unity, and who was simply chasing validation? The platforms of social media gleamed back at me like the rings of power, dividing us so the one ring of control could dominate. It was designed like a pyramid for a reason. Enlightenment would always remain out of reach as long as we were caught in this cycle of ranking and comparison. We had allowed ourselves to define our worth through false values. But love doesn't need to be earned. We had overcomplicated the simplest truth, to offer kindness to one another and live simpler, more fulfilling lives. After going through this journey, I found myself in a moment of humility, feeling hopeless. Then I remembered the scene from The Two Towers. Frodo, overwhelmed by his burden, says to Sam, "I can't do this, Sam." Sam replies with tears in his eyes, "I know. It's all wrong. By rights, we shouldn't even be here. But we are. It's like in the great stories, the ones that really mattered. Full of darkness and danger they were. And sometimes you didn't want to know the end, because how could the end be happy? How could the world go back to the way it was when so much bad had happened? But in the end, it's only a passing thing, this shadow. Even darkness must pass. A new day will come, and when the sun shines, it will shine out the clearer." Those were the stories that stayed with you, that meant something, even if you were too small to understand why. But I think I do understand. I know now. Folk in those stories had lots of chances of turning back. Only they didn't. They kept going, because they were holding on to something. "What are we holding on to, Sam?" Frodo asks. Sam answers, that there's some good in this world and it's worth fighting for. I'm not sure which character I am in this story, but if I had to choose, I'd be Frodo, the one who thought he carried the weight of the world, but learned he didn't have to. I know there are many in our world who care and are willing to help in fighting for God's true mission, our mission to create unity so we can embrace our freedom. Chapter 12. Living in Harmony. As we reflect on the journey through this book, a central truth emerges. Our world stands at a crossroads. Technology, once praised for its potential to connect us and make life more convenient, now profoundly shapes our identities, thoughts, and spiritual paths. For many, technology has become so deeply ingrained in daily life that its true impact often goes unnoticed. We are tethered to our devices from morning until night, constantly seeking connection, entertainment, and information. But what message are we sending to the next generation with these habits? The examples we set will shape the future of our children. For the first time in history, one generation's choices could irrevocably determine the world's direction, for better or worse. Will we leave behind a world dominated by technology, or one rooted in intentional living, balance, and harmony? Platforms like YouTube have provided valuable information and offered both creators a space for inspiration and artistic expression, as well as the general public a place to learn and enjoy music. This book is not about abandoning YouTube, but rather about encouraging moderation and self-discipline, resisting the lure of monetization, digital success, and excessive consumption. It's about slowing down, becoming grounded, and returning to our roots. Miyamoto Musashi's philosophy emphasized inner strength, detachment from materialism, and purposeful living. He believed mastery comes through continuous practice and mental clarity. Musashi taught that true strength lies in cultivating discipline, letting go of material desires, and living with focused intention. As he wrote, "Do nothing that is of no use." This wisdom reminds us to pursue meaningful actions, free from distractions and unnecessary attachments. Just as Musashi emphasized self-discipline, we too must master the art of discernment and moderation in a world that constantly pulls us toward distraction. While platforms like Instagram and Facebook have created digital spaces for exchanging ideas and offering support, they fall short of meeting our spiritual and psychological needs. They cannot fulfill our deeper, intrinsic need for real physical connection. Humans are wired for face-to-face interaction, where body language, touch, and presence build bonds that cannot be replicated online. Studies show that prioritizing online interactions over in-person engagement often leads to increased loneliness, depression, and a lack of empathy. This erosion of human connection has contributed to a troubling rise in issues like suicidal tendencies, especially among younger generations. Historically, humans thrived in close-knit, physical communities, such as those of Native American cultures. Studies confirm that technology cannot replace the genuine relationships that foster unity and belonging. In times of crisis, we are called to return to something greater. It is in this return that we find our path forward. Breaking free from the digital world doesn't mean rejecting technology altogether. It means redefining our relationship with it, using it as a tool for good rather than allowing it to control us. Imagine a world no longer driven by the demands of algorithms and notifications. Instead, we rise each day with purpose, grounded in faith and community. This path is not easy. As Musashi teaches, the way is in training. It requires self-discipline, patience, and perseverance. But with dedication, we can free ourselves from distractions that pull us away from our divine purpose. Together, we can build a future that cultivates harmony. Chapter 13. Rebuilding Life with Connection. By making small, deliberate changes, we can restore balance in our lives and refocus on what truly matters: faith, family, community, and creativity. The most significant step toward breaking free from digital dependency is to consider stepping away from personal social media accounts like Facebook and Instagram. This decision can bring a profound sense of liberation, allowing you to disconnect from the constant stream of notifications and comparisons that can dominate our lives. By choosing to remove these distractions, you create space for more meaningful connections, personal growth, and a deeper appreciation for the present moment. This shift encourages a more private and fulfilling life, where your focus can return to what truly matters: your relationships, passions, and well-being. Engaging in creative and intellectual pursuits offers another valuable way to step back from digital distractions. Joining a book club or taking an art class encourages deep discussions, personal expression, and real-world connections, replacing screen time with meaningful engagement. Reconnecting with nature is also a powerful way to find balance. Activities like gardening, hiking, or spending time outdoors ground us, reduce stress, and foster a sense of community, reminding us of our roots and the beauty of creation. Involving yourself in faith-based communities and local church activities can provide a deeper sense of belonging and purpose, grounded in shared values and spiritual growth. These spaces promote face-to-face interaction, service, and genuine connection, moving us away from superficial online interactions. Some families are returning to the idea of living in family compounds, where extended family members live close by. This traditional way of living fosters deeper bonds and shared experiences, creating a supportive, close-knit environment that digital interactions cannot replicate. To further reduce digital dependence, consider incorporating physical resources into your daily life. For instance, keeping a physical dictionary at home rather than relying on your phone for quick word lookups can enrich your vocabulary and foster a more intentional approach to learning. Exploring hobbies such as knitting, baking, or exercising can offer fulfilling activities without the distraction of technology. Knitting or crocheting not only produces beautiful handmade items, but also promotes relaxation and mindfulness. Baking brings a sense of accomplishment and the joy of sharing homemade treats with others. Regular exercise, whether through jogging, yoga, or a gym routine, enhances physical health and mental well-being. Instead of reaching for your phone, immerse yourself in more physical books or spend time journaling in a notebook. These practices help reduce screen time while nurturing your intellect and creativity. Setting boundaries with technology is crucial yet simple. Leaving your phone at the door when you get home or putting it away during family functions and meals helps you be fully present with those around you and fosters deeper, more meaningful connections. As you create these boundaries, fill the newfound space with spiritual practices that nourish the soul. Regular prayer, meditation, or reflection help center your thoughts and guide your life toward love, unity, and deeper faith. The journey toward a more balanced life is not about drastic changes, but about taking small, intentional steps. Whether deleting social media, spending time in nature, engaging in creative pursuits, or deepening your faith practices. Each step brings you closer to a life of simplicity, presence, and spiritual wholeness, reclaiming your time and attention for what truly matters. Chapter 14, Harmonious Communities. Imagine a place where the clamor of notifications and the constant hum of digital devices no longer dictate the rhythm of your day. Instead, the soft sounds of nature greet you each morning: the rustling of trees, the chirping of birds, the distant laughter of children playing. In this place, the air feels lighter, and time itself seems to slow down, making space for connection, creativity, and reflection. This is a community built on simplicity, where the pace of life is no longer dictated by social media or the constant chase for external validation. Here, people gather not to compete, but to collaborate, to share their passions and talents, and to lift one another up. In this community, the heart of life is lived outdoors. You see neighbors tending to shared gardens, their hands deep in the soil as they nurture the plants that will nourish their families and friends. The act of gardening is not just about food, it's about tending to the earth together, fostering a deep connection to the land and to each other. There is a palpable sense of peace in the air as people move slowly, in tune with the natural rhythms of the world. The garden becomes a sacred space where conversations flow as freely as the water from the nearby stream, and where every small act of care is a contribution to the greater whole. As the sun begins to set, the community gathers in the town square, a modest yet vibrant space filled with laughter, art, and music. There are no stages here, no influencers. Instead, artists sit with their easels, painting scenes that capture the beauty of the day. Writers find quiet corners to jot down thoughts, or to share poetry with others who listen with genuine curiosity and appreciation. There's no rush, no urgency, just a collective immersion in creativity and passion. People gather not to consume content, but to create it together for each other. Workshops and gatherings take place in the evening, where individuals of all ages come to learn from one another. The wisdom of elders is cherished here, and their stories are passed down through storytelling sessions, where the younger generation listens intently, eager to learn from their experiences. There's no rush to post the moment online, no distraction pulling people away from the present. Instead, there is a deep respect for the here and now, for the people sitting beside you, and for the knowledge that is being shared. This community is alive with the spirit of cooperation. Every task, whether it's repairing a fence, preparing food, or planning a festival, is done with a sense of shared responsibility and joy. There is no division of roles based on status or hierarchy. Instead, every person's unique gifts are honored, and all contributions are valued equally. You see people working side by side, laughing as they complete their tasks, their hearts lightened by the knowledge that they are part of something greater than themselves. Here, it is not about what you can take, but what you can give. And in giving, you find that your spirit is nourished in return. In this place, the concept of success is not measured by wealth or fame, but by the strength of the relationships you build, the kindness you offer, and the impact you have on the world around you. People leave their homes each day with a sense of purpose, knowing that their actions contribute to the collective well-being of the community. There is no sense of lack, no competition for resources or attention, only a quiet, steady flow of support, love, and equality. The children here grow up surrounded by nature and creativity, learning the value of simplicity and the beauty of meaningful work. They aren't glued to screens or lost in virtual worlds. Instead, they are learning from their elders, from the earth, and from their own sense of wonder. They help in the gardens, run barefoot through the grass, and learn to create with their hands and their hearts. They see the adults around them leading by example, showing that life is not a race to be won, but a journey to be shared. Evenings end with communal meals, where long tables are filled with fresh, homegrown food, and conversations that last well into the night. There's no rush to check phones, no need to capture the moment digitally. It is enough to simply be present, to savor the richness of the moment, and to share it with those around you. People leave these gatherings feeling deeply connected, not just to each other, but to something greater, a sense of belonging, of purpose, and of harmony with the world. This is a life lived in balance, where work and play, solitude and connection, passion and rest all find their rightful place. It is a community rooted in equality, where every person is valued for who they are and what they bring, and where combined efforts create a harmonious way of living. It is a life where the noise of the digital world is replaced by the sound of laughter, the rhythm of nature, and the quiet joy of knowing that you are truly seen, truly heard, and truly loved, not by an audience of strangers, but by the people who walk beside you in this journey of life. This is what awaits when we step away from the artificial connections of social media and embrace the deeper, more authentic connections that come from living simply, living passionately, and living in harmony with one another. Together, we can build this world, a world where love, equality, and shared purpose reign, and where we are no longer divided by screens, but united by the truth of who we really are. Chapter 15. Spiritual Wholeness. The path to unity has been filled with many highs and lows. We know that human life is difficult, and happiness is fleeting. It cannot be measured because this world offers only brief moments of happiness. But when we choose love, we realize that life holds a deeper meaning. As we move through this journey, we discover that our true purpose involves sacrifice. We will never find lasting happiness in this world, for it is not the destination. At the end of our lives, what we will remember are the bonds we forged and the love we shared. Happiness is not something we find, but something we create together and share in unity. What we are truly lacking is found in our longing for complete wholeness. We will never fully understand love until we surrender to it. There comes a moment of truth when we realize that love, in all its brilliance, can sometimes blind us to everything else. It is in that moment that we begin to understand what our Creator has always known, that love holds limitless potential, but it is in our hands to bring it to life. We have come a long way. We are moving toward a beautiful new reality, and those of us who are ready can already feel it. When we are truly ready, we will no longer be separated by fear or differences, because if we walk a righteous path, we know that love can never be lost. If we try to break love apart, we will only be left with pieces we cannot carry. Love, however, has always been and will always remain whole. Though there may still be challenges ahead, we know that courage will guide our hearts, and faith will be our true armor. There is only one side to faith, and that is faith without fear. It is a beautiful thing when we finally choose peace. There is no longer a need to prove our truth for validation or justification. We recognize it when we share the same truth with others, and we don't have to try, because we speak the same language. The true language of love carries no agenda, no expectations, no judgment, and no vengeance against those who are blind to it. Unconditional love has no strings attached. What binds us to what is not love are the attachments we hold to those who do not love us back, attachments we must release. To truly allow love is to experience freedom, with no retribution. It is learning to walk away from what no longer serves us, letting the pieces fall where they may. It is finally letting go and allowing God to take control of our hearts, leading us toward complete unity. We have reached the end of our rainbow, and the rain clouds are beginning to part, revealing the glimpse of what lies on the other side. We are excited to finally be free, fully embraced by complete love. We have been climbing this staircase for so long, each life bringing us closer and closer to oneness. It's like cutting through the layers of an upside-down cake to finally reach the top layer. How long has it been since we were one with the Creator, sparkling together in the arms of the sun? It feels like many eternities have passed in our fight for love, but now we have reached the end of a long journey, and our love has become stronger because we never gave up on each other. We know that if we had nothing to fight for, we would have no love to proclaim. We would do it all again, to wipe every tear from our eyes, because we have always known that losing each other would only make our reunions that much greater, our light that much brighter, and our love that much stronger. Chapter 16. Gratitude. As I sit here, reflecting on this journey, I am overwhelmed with a sense of gratitude, not just for the lessons I've learned, but for the people who have walked beside me, helping to shape me into who I am. Gratitude is the thread that connects us, weaving together our shared experiences, and without the people in my life, this journey would have been incomplete. I think of humanity as a glass sculpture, once whole, beautiful, and complete, but shattered, its fragments scattered across the world. Each of us is a piece of that sculpture, shining in our own unique way, carrying our own light and color. Though we shine individually, we are all searching for the missing pieces, hoping to find our way back to the spiritual wholeness from which we came. This journey, this search for unity and connection, is what binds us together. Gratitude, I've learned, isn't just about recognizing what we have, but about honoring those who have helped us find the missing pieces, those who have offered parts of themselves to help complete the puzzle of our lives. And so, I want to offer my deepest thanks to the people who have shaped my life and added their unique light to mine. To my son, my greatest teacher, who has shown me what it means to truly live by example, I offer my heartfelt gratitude. You've made me realize that the legacy we leave behind is not in what we achieve, but in the love, integrity, and honesty we pass on to others. You've taught me what it means to lead with my heart. To my daughter, who teaches me patience and confidence, I am endlessly thankful. You remind me that growth is a process, and through you, I've learned how to face my own challenges with grace and determination. To my husband, my voice of reason, and my soulmate, thank you for being my rock. Your wisdom and support have given me the strength to navigate life's challenges, and your love has grounded me through it all. You've been my anchor in every storm. To my mother, who sacrificed every breath of her life to help me raise my children, I owe a debt of gratitude that words could never fully express. You gave your all so that I could be the mother I needed to be, and for that, I am forever grateful. Your unwavering love and strength have shaped not just my life, but the lives of my children as well. To my older sister, my biggest supporter, and my twin star, thank you for being a constant source of light and encouragement. Your belief in me has carried me through my darkest moments, and your presence in my life is a gift I cherish deeply. To the rest of my siblings, thank you for teaching me what it means to live life following your own passions. Each of you has shown me the beauty of pursuing your dreams, and I'm grateful for the inspiration you've given me through your example. To my stepfather, who taught me that every rock has a name, and within each name lies the knowledge and richness of our history, thank you. You've opened my eyes to the beauty in the world that others often overlook. You also taught me that the values of hard work are honored through integrity and perseverance, and for that, I am forever grateful. To my friends and extended family members, who have seen the best in me and accepted me just as I am, thank you for your love and support. You've believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself, and your acceptance has given me the courage to keep going. And lastly, to you, the reader, thank you for taking the time to share in this journey. You've offered me your attention, your openness, and your willingness to walk this path with me. In doing so, you've become part of my story, and for that, I am truly grateful. I hope that in some small way, my words have added something to your journey, just as your presence here has added something to mine. Gratitude, I've come to understand, is not just an emotion. It's an acknowledgement that we are all part of something far greater than ourselves. Though we may feel like fragments, separated and scattered by the divisions of life, it is through our connections with others that we begin to mend. Even in moments of solitude, we are never truly alone. Through gratitude and appreciation, we rediscover what was lost through division, finding it once again in each other, and slowly, we restore the wholeness we've been seeking all along